Hello, welcome to Ted and Andy's packaging adventure. This is number 5 in a series, and this one will be concentrating on nets. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But before that, a little bit of a cautionary tale. Since last time I saw you, there's been a little bit of an incident, and this is one of the latest from the lab, time to investigate. And here we have a severe laceration caused by scalpel. This is from Chris as well, Chris Mason, one of our own. So Chris has kindly offered these pictures up to show you. I'm sorry if they're a little bit gruesome, but they have to be seen, unfortunately. So this is another one here. Now, Chris said to me that basically, I said, well, how did this happen, Chris? And he said, well, I made 2 fatal errors. Number 1 was basically rushing, taking, which is a 1. And number 2 was using the wrong kind of implement, or something he wasn't used to as well. I also pointed out to him as well, he shouldn't have been using this plastic ruler either. So yeah, so I just thought I'd let you know, so don't want to scare anybody, but yeah, we just wish him well, and I think he's making a good recovery. But it does bring me on to this as well, safety-wise. It's something I didn't mention in our first presentation on cutting. If you want to try and keep these in your pencil case or in a drawer, it's always good to put them into something, like a rubber, or create a plastic cloche for them, or possibly cork from a wine bottle can be quite good as well. So, nets. What is a net? Well, this presentation is designed to aid you for your packaging project, your first packaging project, and you're going to be given a series of 3 nets. A net is basically the architecture of how to basically build various 3D models. This one here you'll be given, and you'll be given this one here, and then also this one here. So you'll have 3 to do, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run through the procedure on how to go about cutting them out and putting them together. So I'll just move these to one side. Here's one I had earlier, which is semi cut out at the moment. So I'll just finish off cutting it out. So what you have to do, you have to cut round the solid line and score the dotted. Cut round the solid line and score the dotted. So this one's just about to come out now. I've already cut across here, and this should obviously release from the actual background. There we have it, it's released. So that's it cut out there, so you don't want that, that's waste. And then here we have the little bits that just need pulling out there. And there we go. So there you should end up, that's the first net of a cardboard box. As I say, we will score along the dotted line, and we cut out around this black solid line. So that's that. Let's move on to another one. This one is slightly incomplete because I wanted to show you a couple of things. On this net there are some rounded corners, which I think you can see here. Now, to do rounded corners, to take it out from doing it freehand, there's a couple of ways of doing it. You can use one of these, which has rounded templates on, and you can find the right one, and then simply cut around it like this by applying pressure down, cutting around it like that, and that comes away. The other way you can do it is by using a coin or something of a diameter. Put that into the corner at the tangents and just cut round. Applying pressure to the coin, the scalpel should just come away like that. And hence you have your rounded corners. The other thing that's tricky on here is this little bit here. Now, what you want to do is cut straight first, ignore the curves at the moment, and then cut straight. Once you've cut the straights, you can then take and extract very carefully, cutting round slowly, moving your scalpel round. The diameter of this is too small, and sometimes go back the other way like that. And then using the end of the scalpel, just take it out. Takes a bit of time, practice makes perfect in anything you do in life. And that comes round like that, and I take that out of there. So I have a complete cut out package. And then what we're going to do is we're going to score. I'll show you how to do that. You need a ruler, metal ruler, 600mm, and then I have to score along the dotted lines. Now this is applying half the pressure for cutting. I score along like that. I know I'm not cutting through, but what I am doing is I'm breaking the back of the paper or the card in order for it to fold the way that I want. All of this net is going to fold inwards, as you will see in a minute. And I score on all the dotted lines. Once I've done that, I will then end up with, once I've done that, once that's done, we then use the double-sided. Everybody has some double-sided tape in their pack. This stuff is incredibly strong. It will bond it together. For this net, you only really need to basically put some double-sided on that flap there. And that's the flap that will... So basically, there's two ways of doing this. If you just lightly put it down on the cutting mat, and then cut it roughly to the length you need it, and then take it off, and then what you can do is, you can then place it on the flap, and once you're covering most of the flap there, and then just turn it over, and using the scalpel, just take away the excess, like that. Yeah? There we go. Now the double-sided, with this you want to basically put it to one side. Try and keep your cutting mat clean, because what can happen, and you'll notice this in the studio, cutting mats can get covered like this in double-sided tape. You have to take it off, because if it comes off, see there, it kind of like it's all sticky, and it can basically ruin your net, so you have to get all that off there. But so, there I have it. There I have my net cut out, everything scored, and some double-sided to stick it together. So what we'll do is, we'll go to another one I have here, and there it is. I'll just seat for this. So, these are both at the same stage, these two now. I'll just put that back to one side. So what you have to do, once you've scored it, you then just very carefully begin to break let the paper fold. So at this point you'll realise whether you've cut too deep. If you cut too deep, it'll probably drop off. But this one seems to be okay. So that comes around on itself like that, and slowly I begin to fold it all around. And you can see that it's beginning to take shape. The thing about these packaging nets is they're off the shelf, i.e. they exist already in books or online, and when you're doing this project we give you these three to get you started, to understand how to cut, score, fold and stick together. The majority of your solutions will probably not use an off-the-peg net. There'll probably be some kind of adaptation of an existing net, and it's important to understand that. So there we have the actual box put together, yeah? And here's one I did earlier there, but what I want to show you now is actually how to put it together. This is a tricky bit. The sticking bit is always a tricky bit, so I know it goes together. This is the edge I need to stick. Using the end of a scalpel to prick it to try and release the backing of the double-sided. This in itself can be quite tricky. Sometimes it doesn't want to come up. Here we go. There we go. Hold on. This double-sided, there we go. So that I don't need that. This now is its most dangerous point. This is incredibly sticky. You have to be quite careful to get it right, because should you not get it positioned right, it's very difficult to get it off. So be cautionary. Do not commit yourself until you are 100% certain that you have got what you need. And I think I'm just about looking up at there. I'm not so bad. Sticking it together. Lift that up in there. Right, yeah. So I've got it, it's stuck. It's reasonably okay on the edge. Now what you have to do now is open it up before you go any further. Open it up because you want to apply some pressure on the inside to that seal. One of the ways of doing that is using your ruler. Just get your ruler and put it in there and apply some pressure to the flap that you've just double-sided down. There we go. And that's it, it's sort of stuck together. This bottom bit should just click in like that. The top bit again should just click in like that. And there we have it. There we have, I'll just move that to one side. There we have the box. Yeah. I can show you how this was actually used if you wanted. Might be an actual existing net that was used by a student. Here it is. This is a series of tissue boxes, handheld tissue boxes. I don't know if you can see those there. Might be better putting them on white. I'll just turn that round. There we go. Is that better on white? There we go, yeah. So as you can see, it's not a million miles away from this existing net. Slightly thicker with a slightly higher back on this one here. This was a nice solution to the brief. The student took tissues, and these were surgical tissues, and they were pocket tissues, hence the pocket. So she took the idea of pockets from a nurse's garment, hence the kind of watch and the scissors. It says light duty hand wipes, and then there was heavy duty ones. So again, taking the heavy duty denim of maybe a workwear and having a spanner and a ratchet in it there, hand wipes, and then there was a third one which was rose scented wipes, and this was a pinstripe suit with a nice floral handkerchief in the top pocket. So they made a nice set. Pocket wipes for 3 different occasions: medical, heavy duty and rose scented. But that just shows you an example of how this net was adapted by a student for this project. Once you've got this, then you need to apply your surface graphics to it. That's something we will cover in the computer lessons. But this is mainly about the construction. Now you're going to be making another 2. You're going to be making this one. So you've got 3 to make in all total. This one, which we've done. This one, which I you might be used to it, McDonald's Happy Meal sort of packaging. And then this one here, which is maybe the most difficult one, which involves some curves. Yeah? Now I have those already over there, so I'm going to get them now and I'm going to show you to put them together. But it's the same principle. Here we have the McDonald's Happy Meal. This is all cut out again, same principle. Scored on the dotted lines, cut out the black lines. Cut out the slits, cut out the handles and fold. This just wants one double-sided flap, and here it is. I've already double-sided it, so if I can get this off, then I should be able to put it together in front of you here just to demonstrate how that works. It's just a little bit tricky, this bit, especially if it's been down for a while, trying to get the actual double-sided backing tape off. There we go, it's off. So, again, a bit like the last time, be very, very cautionary at this point, because this is the stickiest bit and the trickiest bit. Tricky, sticky. Sticky, tricky. There we go. So there it is. I put my finger in this because I can get my hand in it, so I'm applying pressure down now. So that has actually put it together. The base of it should just hopefully slot into place. I think it's just a case of which flap you get over which bit really. And what I would suggest is when you do get it to stick together to stop this one coming apart, it might be quite handy to use your masking tape. Just because you won't see it, you can always just put it inside, but I recommend maybe that you just put a little bit of masking tape in the bottom of it, just so internally it sort of sticks it together. And then with this one, you have to come over and put in, the way it works is it works by putting it through the actual slot into the cardboard. Now this is a little bit tricky. This one is like that, and then this one here goes in like this. As I say, the first one you make will probably be maybe not the best one, but it's the start of a journey in 3D making. There we go. Happy meal, happy days. There you have it. You can just walk off nicely with that one there. Cool, so that's that one. And then the third one, now this is the trickiest. Because it's sort of, you're asking the paper to do a lot here on the curve. One of the trickiest things you'll find possibly is cutting this by hand, but the rest of it's straight lines. Just follow the dot. When I've scored this one already, but again it's the same principle. So as you can see along this line, I recommend that what you do is you actually, you cover. This is the flap that you'll need to stick this one together. Again, it only needs that one flap. Now, here we go. So this could turn out right, or it could turn out wrong. I'm not too sure. We'll give it a go though. Even myself, who's been doing this for years, still gets it wrong, especially under these. I don't get it wrong, I just basically find it a little bit tricky, especially right now. There we go. That is sticky, and as I said before, it's about to get tricky. So what you have to do is basically, you can feel it. Stick to your hands. Now this is about marrying the two sides up. Now this is a little bit difficult because of the curve. So I think I'll start at one end here. This is. We will be judging these, by the way. We're going to have a little competition. The best made ones will be. Well, it's gone together quite nicely. If you cut it properly, it should go. Now this is important. I've got my hand in there. Can you see it there? Little finger coming out there. I'm trying to apply pressure down, and I've got that. Yeah, so it's gone. This is the one that you'll find might come apart if you don't stick it together properly. We've done these in the past for several years, and this is the first one that does click itself out. But there you go, lovely curve on it there. So it's quite nice. A lot of people don't think you can do curves with paper, but you can. And then that's the lid that goes in there, and then the bottom. Just put the bottom together like that. Oh, now then, the bottom. Actually might want to stick it, thinking about it, yeah. So the bottom does need a little tab on it. So you need to get your double-sided tape, put it on the cutting mat, cut it down like that, and then just stick it on here. It's probably a little bit over the top, that there. You probably won't need that amount. It probably won't come off for millennia. If you put that amount on it, but I'm just going to put that down there. So yeah, that's stuck to there. What I need to do is apply a little bit. I'll just go backwards on that one. Apply a little bit of pressure on it. So go backwards and apply a little bit of pressure. Try and get my hand in. If you can't get your hand in, as I say, get the ruler in there and just dim it down a bit or something. Something you can fit in. Find somebody with small hands. But yeah, here we go. So that just comes in like that, and then. This just flaps in the top of it like that, or does it go over the top? Yeah. Either way. So, but there you have it. You can see, nice, interesting, almost vase-like in one sense, with the curves on it. Yeah. So at the end of this exercise, you're going to end up with 1, 2, 3. Three bits of packaging that are blank, but you will have learnt how to basically cut, score, fold, stick. And also the tolerances and of what you need to be able to make a 3D item. Now, as just before I finish this section, I just want to go back to the concept of nets. These structural packaging books, they're on the reading list. There's a whole variety in here of different types of net, yeah, and some of these might be really apt for what you're doing, depending on your idea. Some you might need to adapt, but so I will reiterate that point. Do not expect to open this book up and find a solution. It can happen, it might be exactly what you want, but more often than not, it means if you get somewhere close, i.e. tall and thin, you think, oh, I'll make that, I'll learn from how that works, and then the next one I make, I'll be able to adapt and put my own measurements in. You can find nets online. As well, all kinds of interesting things, which I'll come on to in my next talk. But yeah, so this one is structural packaging design, and this one also is structural packaging design. But we have those in the offices. We can show you those at some point. But also, as I say, they're online. But just to finish with, this project involves measuring. You will need to measure in order, and it's also a voyage of discovery. I know that some of you might get frustrated initially, but I'm sure that you will overcome that, and the more that you make, the better it will become. Ted, Hello, welcome back to Ted and Andy's Packaging Adventure. This is 5 nets, but I would call it 5A because this is an adjunct to the last one. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a couple of examples that will help you understand about where we're going with this project. So I think one of the first ones I'd like to show you is the bird seed solution. This was done maybe 6 or 8 years ago now. It was done by a second year student. And what this is birdseed packaging. Initially it was a bag of birdseed in plastic from Wilko's called Peckish. And what I want to show you is basically there's the little versions it went through. So the student initially made this little package here, which you think you can see, and he found online this really interesting kind of, I don't know if you can see this little bit here. As you squeeze it, it looks like a little bit like a mouth, and it's this device here which he came across. So he adapted that from an existing net, and then this is one of his first little attempts. This is a very graphic version of a blue tit, done in very bold colours, and again, but that's what he did there. This is when he had to scale it up. Here you go. So this is probably shows you it at a better kind of angle there. So maybe if I put it against black, it might work a little bit better. Can you see there? Like, kind of like when he scratched to put the seeds out. Yeah. And here's his second version, a bit larger. And once he got it up to, this is called a maquette, so he done, rather than waste card, he'd done one a bit smaller, because the intended size was this size here. And again, I think it's probably worth showing you the different versions that he went through. So these are all for the blue tit. These are all, now once he's got the actual idea of the bird seed kind of being dispensed out of the mouth of the beak, on the side there, he's then just worked on different ways of actually showing, this is where the design comes in, and kind of the surface graphics. So I think in the end he sort of went for this version here, which is quite nice and simple, bird seed, but I think it had a name called Peckish in the end. There's no graphics on these, no, that's right, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, but what I wanted to show you also, more importantly, is just the number and the amount of mock-ups that he did in order to refine his idea down from his initial kind of maquette. But his connection that he's made there is a really nice connection, and it's basically a dispensing device that mimics the mouth of a little bird. And that's what makes it appropriate, and that's what makes it clever and appealing, charming, and why I'm showing it to you now. So yeah, I'm going to show you a couple more examples from this project. This one here that I'm about to show you, again, was done a little bit earlier if I remember rightly. This one was for elastic bands. Again, the elastic bands came, as you probably recognise them, in a plastic bag of elastic bands. And this student came up with this really interesting kind of net. He found this net on a book, I think, or online. And so it's regular, light, regular and strong. There we go. So if you can see those are 3 elastic band packaging. What's nice about these is the packaging kind of like is squeezed in the middle, like your waist. He actually had elastic bands around them, but they've perished with time. But using a type, this is a really nice idea, the surface graphics on this one really help it, and the typography. There was lightweight elastic bands, and on here the waist isn't as tight. Regular, as you can see, it's getting a little bit tighter with the type, and then we have extra strong elastic bands there coming in. And what's nice about this as well, a nice little dispensing device there as well. The way they were dispensed was quite nice. So a lot of time and effort went into this. If I could show you his first examples, they were, they weren't very good at all. But when he revisited it and did it over and over and over again, and the adaptation of the type, and and these are really, really nice examples, and there's still some nice type on the back as well. They're also, we've got some interesting, so I'll just read this one out to you. 100 premium quality, extra tensile, extremely thin, light, yet surprisingly tough elastic band for select use. And this one, and it says in the back, as part of a rubber band ball for shooting at the opponent, a pencil grip, as a convenient hairband, as a stylish bracelet, tie-dye, to be hung as a majestic decoration, keep bagged food fresh. So what's nice in the back there is also the copywriting. And I know that currently you're doing a copywriting exercise. So yeah, this project brings together structural packaging, copywriting, an idea, colour, layout, all the basic things for a piece of good, successful packaging. So that was a great piece, and a great piece for the portfolio. I know that it was something that got him a job. Nice little bit on the bottom there. So yeah, we'll be able to show you these in the flesh. This one here was a nice one, tissue packaging. This was bamboo. These were tissues made out of bamboo. Bamboo is one of the most versatile natural elements on the planet. But what's really nice about this is really kind of simple, and she's gone square with it again, which is quite nice. Bamboo is circular, so the urge would be to go circular with it, but I think the squareness works nice. But also when it comes to putting these in boxes of thousands to be transported around the world, then it works quite well. But what really makes this idea at the top is the diagonal slice, which mimics the sort of hatchet slice that you often see through bamboo when people machete it. So, and a nice little bit of type here as well, just to kind of, just to show it there. If you can read that, bamboo shoots, which is quite nice as well. So a type mimics the actual diagonal cut. Okay, so that was another nice one there. So again, tissue packaging, adaptive. This one here is very basic at the moment, but it was polyfiller for fixing cracks in your wall. So it's a DIY one. What's quite nice about this one, it says it's a relationship between the word fix to fix. Just mix. I'll do that again. To fix, just mix. So there's a lot of work gone into this area around here of trying to get the type and the crack to work. So there's a little bit of surprise there. So a nice, this is a collar piece of package that comes off the top like that. So as you can probably appreciate, this one has to be slightly bigger than that, and that's where the student had the hard work, I think. But very minimal, but the idea is there. Ice cream cones. This is a piece of packaging that has an after use, party cones for children's party. So the idea with this is that basically you could perforate the lid and put the ice creams in and dispense them to the children, hence becoming a party piece. Quite nice use of the type with a party and appropriate typeface there on the cones, and then cones underneath. So quite, a reusable box becomes a holder suitable for any party occasion. So again, a nice piece of design from what was initially quite a tawdry, run-of-the-mill piece of packaging with a nice little idea attached and appropriate graphics and a nice piece of structural engineering. We have with more of an interesting package there. This one here is Italian breadsticks. These are breadsticks, Italian stone-baked breadsticks. So this piece of packaging, for those of you who don't know what a breadstick looks like, there's a breadstick, long and thin and made out of bread, like a stick. And this is basically a nice idea that's sort of based on the idea of an oven, a clay oven. Yeah. So you can see that the whole packaging is mimicking a clay oven. So you open it here to get out the breadsticks. There we go. So that was quite nice. So again, and these are all items, I think, most of these items you'll be given to basically come up with an idea as well. Just to finish off with, firelighters. If you're familiar with firelighters, generally if you've got an open fire, your parents have or grandparents, Firelighters are generally used to help getting a real fire going in a house. What's nice about these firelighters, or this concept, is that they're based around, again, do your research, and can you spell properly, but these are based on fireside tiles, very ornate fireside tiles which you get in old Victorian houses or Edwardian houses. And what's nice about this piece of packaging is it also tells you who made the tile, so you learn a little bit from it. So this one here is an Art Nouveau tile designed by Henry Postlethwaite. This one's a Victorian tile designed by Horatio Thomas, and so on. So, and also the nice typography. So this idea involves 4 boxes of fireworks. So it urges you to collect them. You get one, you get another, but you compare that to most fire lighter packaging, and it bears no resemblance. So yeah, I just wanted to show you some really good examples of what's been done in the past. But all this stems from the nets that I've just shown you, getting to grips with basically how to use the tools of the trade, cutting to make the structure. And I think that's probably about as much as I want to say. Apart from, what was it now? Oh, Ted!